Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Sanders, and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today, what we're going to do is take a look at a number of themed sports watches. For the most part, people talk about sports watches, they're usually talking about a diver of some sort or something like that. But I was looking around, and there are some different themes. One theme might be pilots, but I didn't include that because pilot watches, we've covered that, and everybody has, and they sort of treat them very separate. Same with divers, and so we're going to take a look at what are called adventure sports, nautical sports, motor sports, and then we're sort of going to wrap it up with three general sports watches that seem to have a lot of different areas. Now, the first ones that I want to start with are adventure sports. And one of the things that was back in 1953, Sir Edmund Hillary went up to the top of Mount Everest, and he had his Oyster Perpetual with him. I don't know if it's exactly the same one, but that would be, I think, sort of almost a quintessential adventure sports. Yeah, we look at the Rolex Oyster Perpetual, and it's sort of like it's sort of the entry level Rolex, but in fact, it has it's quite a famous watch, really, when you consider it was the one that Hillary took to the top of Mount Everest. All right, so now they run the list price, or the AD price, is $5,700. I don't know how much used ones are, and you really don't get too many Rolexes in the secondary markets anyway. All right, now this next one is the Zenith Chronomaster El Primero, and it's $6,700. Now, as an adventure sports watch, it too has an interesting little past to it. Back in 71, 72, there was an explorer named Major John Blashford Snell. Love the name. Bet he was British. And he led a British Transamerica expedition. And he was in the first vehicle that crossed what was called the Darien Gap between Panama and Colombia. And they had El Primero chronographs. So I figured, okay, well, this would be another true sports watch with a very interesting history. Now, this third one here doesn't have any history, or so to speak. It's called a Norquin. It has a Q without a U following it, so I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It could be Norcane. Anyway, the name of it is Adventure Sport, and we're looking at Adventure Sport watches, and it has an ETA 2824. It costs $1,830 for, it's about fair, I think, for ETA 2824. They tell you what's in there and so forth. But that's not the most interesting part about this watch. It's somebody had sent me one of the subscribers on Watch Art Science. They say, have you seen this? It was an article on Norquin, that they had signed up with a long-term partnership with Kinesi. Now, Kinesi is really interesting. I think it's in Le Loc or someplace like that. And they're building a new factory. And originally, it was a deal between Tudor and Kinesi, and they were going to make the movements for the Tudor. And what happened was that they're working on it now, and the factory is being built on land owned by Rolex. Now, the other player in this is Chanel. Now, remember, Chanel bought 20% of FP Journe, and now they bought 20% of Kinesi too. So they're building this, I guess, movement factory on Rolex land. It's half owned by Chanel and Tudor, and I don't know how much Kenneth he has. So, it, what we're seeing is the emergence of a new movement. Now, what they're going to do, from what I understand, they have a movement called the NN20/1, which is basically your three-hand movement. And so instead of using the ETA 2824, they're going to be having their own in-house one. And that'll be an interesting thing to keep an eye on, because there might be, before everybody else is onto it, be able to get a neat watch. Love the looks of the thing. Now, they have another one that's called the NN20/2. Anyway, Narcane is, I think, a company, a watch company to keep an eye on, because they're going to be replacing their ETAs with these new movements, and it's always good to know ahead of time, at least before the rest of the herd, so to speak. Okay, this next group is Nautical Sports, and we've talked about individual nautical sports before. I think we talked about the Rolex Yachtmaster 2 and Ulysse Nardin Regatta, Marine Regatta, the award-winning watch. Now, these three watches are really different than those. I wanted to include a Ulysse Nardin again, but a little different one. This one is called the Marine Torpilleur 42 millimeter. It runs on a UN 118, which is a Ulysse Nardin movement, but it may be one of their older ones. I didn't see it listed on WatchBase anymore. The price of these is $6,900. The street price is around $4,150, significantly less, I might add. So this might be a sort of a cool nautical sport. You know, someone with a little sailboat or who likes to go boating, for that kind of watch, I think, is something that they may like. The second one in Nautical Sports is called is by Quorum, and it's called the Admiral Legend 42. It's got, the movement is one of the, I don't know why they call it a CO, because it's not a Quorum movement. It's called the CO 395, which has a base of an ETA 2895. So it's not exactly a full in-house movement. The price on these are $4,100. The street price around about $3,000. I've seen these come up a lot on Touch of Modern. Sometimes these are deeply discounted, but I've always liked them because they use little nautical flags for indexes. I thought that was awfully cool. Now, this next one is the Panerai Luminor Regatta Chrono Flyback, 47 millimeters. That's a big boy. Now, this thing runs $17,200, and the street price isn't much less, about $16,500. Very expensive watch, and it has what essentially looks like a rattrapante, but I think what it is using one of those countdowns. It has a blue and a red second hand, and one is a flyback, and I think what happens is that's used for the countdown movement. But this will give you an idea of sort of nautical themed sports watches. Now this next one, or the next group of watches, these are motor sports. And what I wanted to do with them, I'm going to take a look at three different ones, but I'm going to try to pair them with a car that they represent. The first one is Christopher Ward, the C1 Morgan Classic. Chronometer, new wings, caliber SH21 COSC, which is an in-house Christopher Ward movement. Actually, it's made for them in Switzerland, but it was to their specifications and so forth. Person they hired made it, so we'll call it a true in-house movement. You can see the back there. They sort of did a nice job on sort of a semi-skeletonized back for it. And there's a Morgan, I think it's a Morgan either 44 plus 4 I love Morgans. So if I ever get a Morgan, I'm going to get a Christopher Ward. And the price of this is 1935. I think Christopher Ward is one of those watch companies where you're going to be able to get a lot for your money. To have a brand manufactured movement, and everyone I know who has ones love them. So it's for a sports watch, especially if you have a Morgan. Now another one, a themed one, is the Parmigiani Fleurier Bugatti Aerialite. This has the caliber PF 335 in it, which is of course is by Michel Parmigiani. These things are expensive. This one is the list price is $28,252, and the street price so is significantly less, about $19,500. And down below there, you can see the Bugatti Type 57 Aerialite. That color, there was something about the color was owned by Bugatti, and they special color they use on some cars at one time, and somehow Parmigiani convinced him to let him use on a watch so they could pair it up with it, which I think was sort of cool. Anyway, that's another watch I really like and wouldn't mind having it all. It's automatic, chronomatic with a flyback movement, so you've got a lot of cool stuff going on here. Now this last Motorsports is a Jacques Lecoultre Master Compressor Extreme. It says W alarm with alarm, Aston Martin, caliber 911. That's a Jacques Lecoultre caliber. It's got a stainless steel case, and it's another pretty good sized watch, 46.3 millimeter. That's a big watch. The list price is $14,800. Street price is just a little over half of that, which is a pretty good deal, really. If you can, they're not too hard to find. And they have the one that was for the Aston Martin. They had the little red line there around it, the semicircle, and some were in yellow. I think they also had blue. So I thought it was a very cool watch for motorsports. Looks more like a international travel watch, but you know, you hop in an Aston Martin and start from London and zip through the Channel and over, you drive all the way to China. So it might be something that would be fun to have. I certainly think so. All right, now this last group is, there's three of them here. There's a Seiko, an Audemars Piguet, and a Sen. Now, these are sort of what I see as sort of generic. The first one on the far left is a Seiko 5. Now, the Seiko 5s, there's all kinds of different ones. This one is called the SRPD 65 automatic, $350. The prices of Seiko 5s are all over the map. Now, there are certain ones that are more expensive than others. The one I have, which I think is as close to the original Seiko 5 as you can get, was about $95, something like that. Next to it, the Audemars Piguet is Royal Oak Offshore. Now, the reason I picked this one rather than sort of the other two sports watch by the Holy Trinity, the overseas or the Nautilus or the Aquanaut, this watch, the Royal Oak Offshore, really looks like a watch you could take in the water. I mean, it's got a rubber strap on it, and it's got all kinds of other things. It would be like a real watch for doing stuff that was going to get wet. Okay, the final one is a Sen T1. Then they have the EZM14. I'm not sure what that's for, but I know the T1 is the model name. And this one, you can choose from different colors and kinds of straps and so forth. This one is a rubber strap, so being for sports, I picked that one. Like the Seiko 5, it's got the crown down at 4 o'clock, and it's got a movable bezel and so forth. 3440. It's got an ETA 2892 in it, -A2. Thing about Sen that I like, or any watch company, they're honest about it. If you're trying to find out what the movement is, they tell you right there. The one I was just looking at, that Norquain, that was also an honest company. They said this is what they're using, and this is what they're planning to use, and this is how they're going to do it. Hey, really a lot of neat things going on right now. Okay, well, listen now. There's going to be somebody who says, "I can't believe you didn't mention X." Okay, how could you not mention the Daytona or some other favorite watch they have? I was trying to get as many different kinds of brands in. I don't think I repeated any brand. I started off with a Rolex. I didn't want to have a Rolex, or any other kind of brand that I like. Parmigiani, something like that. So I can't believe that. It was such you get that from your big sister's drama. If you have a watch, and I really would like you to say, here's a cool sports watch. Not, why didn't you mention it? Just, hey, here's a cool one. I appreciate that. But no, I can't believe it. All right. Well, listen, I do appreciate your comments. And so let's hear from you. Let's say, hey, here's a sports watch that I really like, and or a type of sports watch that maybe you could think about including, this kind of stuff. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the art and science of watch collection.